If you must blink, do it now. Pay careful attention to everything you see and hear, no matter how unusual it may seem.
It's here.
That's bad.
That's really bad.
We have to destroy this thing.
Yahshua.
In the morning light, take my hand, it'll be alright. Come on, save your soul tonight. Thunder all through the night. Promise to see
Yahshua.
in the morning light. Take my hand, it'll be alright. Come on, save your soul tonight.
On August 21st, 2017, a solar eclipse will pass over all 50 United States. This will afford most of the country a glimpse of what it is like to have the moon slide between the sun and the earth, casting a shadow on us down below. The experience will look different depending on where you are located. If you are along the path of totality, you see the moon fully block the sun. If you are outside of the path, you will see the moon go by, but the sun will never be fully covered. Wherever you are, you never want to look directly at the sun without protection. Like eclipse glasses, not sunglasses. The one exception is if you are able to see totality. Only when the moon has fully blocked the sun, you are safe to look at the eclipse directly. Before and after that moment, keep your eyes protected. Events like this are rare. The last total solar eclipse to cross the US coast to coast was in 1918. And the next total solar eclipse in the continental US isn't until 2024. Don't miss this opportunity to experience a solar eclipse.
Now, remember this, the blue daytime sky is going to hide Planet X until it eclipses the sun. But there is going to be a full disk solar eclipse. And what happens, of course, during a full disk solar eclipse is the sky turns black. And that will reveal at that point, that week, in my opinion, the week, according if the book of Revelation is true, because this ties in perfectly with it, that could well be the exact month that we can first see it with the naked eye. So, in my opinion, combined with a predictive computer-generated astronomical model, the Bible, the book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, tells us that the red dragon, or Planet X, or Hebrew, and I believe it places us right at the time frame from that analysis of the Planet X approach to the Earth.
So August the 21st, 2017 will be the first time that America will get a chance to view Planet X the Destroyer with the naked eye. If you live within its path, be sure to get out and see the sign of the coming of the Son of Man.
he will not win. No, he will lose. Christ will drop him, then he'll reboot. The heavens and the earth, everything's new. The city's walls and gold streets will be see-through. A tree of healing for the nations, we will eat the fruit. No sun, no stars in the green room. Just the glory of God in his people. No pain, no sorrow, no evil. No death, no tomorrow, no greed, dude. No shame, no boredom, no seas blue. Dear Lord, I don't know when I'ma see you, but I can't wait, and I pray that it'll be soon.
You hear that like the flash, you hear that thunder roll. Can't wait to catch you back. This song should come to those who walk the righteous path, who had a love of those. This ain't to crash, relax. Yeah, when that trumpet blows, when that trumpet blows, yeah, when that trumpet blows, when that trumpet blows, yeah, when that trumpet blows, when that trumpet blows, yeah, when that trumpet blows. This ain't to crash, relax. Yeah, when that trumpet blows.
let's review. The opening of the second, third, and fourth seals occur in rapid succession and appear to follow a natural progression of events. First,
In the first seal, we see this, what would seem to be a world leader, riding forth in the name of peace. And it seems that shortly after this peace has gone forth, that a red horse comes forth. And this red horse brings forth war and destruction as a result of that. Jesus warns in Matthew 24 that nation shall rise against nation, kingdom will rise against kingdom. And some scholars have even suggested that some of the language used there goes even deeper to suggest that maybe ethnicity against ethnicity.
The second seal is the rider on the red horse, and this is war. This man brings war. He takes peace from the earth. There will be slaughter in measures that have never been seen on the face of the earth, and we've seen some pretty devastating wars in the history of mankind. But in this case, it's going to be unprecedented. Billions and hundreds of millions of people are going to be slaughtered, both through war and just through the violence of society.
This is not just the global wars that have been happening through the ages, but as Jesus says, that this is going to be a season of great tribulation, a season of wars like there has never been before.
You also have global starvation. Recalling World Wars I and II, they were marked by shortages in which people had to sign their names to legal sheets of paper in order to buy things like sugar and tires and flour and the staples of life. Finally, we have the fourth horse, the pale green horse, as he is called, and I believe he represents a global epidemic.
If this war is indeed a global war, which results in global financial hardships, then the opening of the fourth seal makes perfect sense. The fourth seal is disease and pestilence. A rider is on a pale horse, which would follow a global financial collapse as people cannot afford the basic necessities of life.
Again, we are seeing things happen on a global scale with the death that is happening. You look at the plagues of the past, how the bubonic plague is estimated to have wiped out even potentially half of Europe at the time, 30 million people. And it's hard to grasp that the things that are yet to happen are even worse.
In fact, Jesus said that it is that you'll see great tribulation that the world has never seen before, nor will they see again. And I think that's a key scripture in understanding this.
Unlike events of our past, in which war, economic depression, and disease have existed within isolated regions, the prophecies within Revelation describe a scenario in which war, famine, and pestilence exist on a global scale. For the individual that penned Revelation almost 2,000 years ago, such events on this scale would not only have been difficult to comprehend, but due to the limitations in mobility and the separation of global populations, these scenarios would have been deemed impossible. Today, however, it's not hard to imagine how this could easily come to fruition, as we are now globally connected socially, economically, and politically, with the ability to span the globe in less than a day. Remember, the occurrence of these events is when we begin to witness loss of life on an unprecedented level. Revelation states that the combination of war, famine, and pestilence will reduce the world population by 25% in a matter of years.
so close now. It's different. When it was first observed, probably the first time it was actually observed, it was observed in the infrared spectrum in 1983 by a orbiting Earth satellite telescope called the Infrared Astronomical Satellite. And this is when all those articles appeared in the Washington Post and the New York Times and so forth. And that's when, right before blackout occurred, there were some articles over a 6 to 12 month period of time when it was pretty much spoken freely of. And then all of a sudden, I think they realized the seriousness of the matter, and they went ahead and produced a blackout.
Again, I believe the book of the Apocalypse is a cryptogram set by the Almighty, and guess what? It is readable, it is understandable at this point. So, if you look further in Revelation, let's look at chapter 6, verse 12 very quickly, because I mentioned the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned to blood. That's Revelation 6:12. Now, October 5th, 2017, right after the sign of the woman, is the only full moon that occurs after September 23rd, 2017. But before October 11th, that's the end of the woman's pregnancy. That's when Jupiter exits. Jupiter's been there about, at that point, 42 weeks. And Jupiter completely exits the picture at that point. So, the key to seeing the red dragon, the planet X, which is in Revelation 12, is to follow the sequence of its appearance after the Revelation 12 sign. Now let's look at these key points. One, the red dragon, planet X, Nibiru, is visible. This can only happen during a full disk solar eclipse. Otherwise, obviously, the blue daytime sky would hide the red dragon and all of the stars in the heavens, except the sun. Point two, as seen from the Earth, the red dragon is enormous. The passage says its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky. So that's probably not literal because the stars are light years away. But I think what it means is that it's very close to the Earth. And from the perspective of an observer on the surface of the Earth, it would be blocking a view of a third of the stars. Now, point three, the red dragon is, quote, standing in front of the woman. This means the red dragon has not yet crossed the Earth's orbit. It is still between the Earth and the constellation Virgo. Point four, the woman was about to give birth. That means that the woman is still, quote, pregnant. Therefore, it is before October 11th, 2017. So if you're on Earth at that point, the red dragon's planet X approach to the Earth will be hidden by the blue daytime sky until it's very close. And when it eclipses the sun, it is within hours of that time that, excuse me, it's within hours of that time that it approaches its perihelion with the sun and with the Earth. So in the analysis, the only choice left for the full moon of Revelation chapter 6, verse 12, is the full moon of October 5th, 2017. Therefore, this is strong evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, in my opinion, in the Bible that links October 5th, 2017 with the appearance of planet X.
The September 23rd celestial sign of the woman in the constellation Virgo, as I mentioned, has never happened before and will never happen again. Jupiter has to move in several directions in retrograde and so forth for a period of about 400 days in a part of that constellation to fulfill that exact astronomical requirement. And that, in conjunction with the 12 stars at the top of the woman's head and the moon at her feet and the sun and so forth, these things do not occur in exact sequence except in the month of September of 2017. So again, I would call that some sort of cryptographic key that we need to proceed from. Now, remember this, the blue daytime sky is going to hide planet X until it eclipses the sun. But there is going to be a full disk solar eclipse right after September 23rd, 2017. This occurs, if you look at moon charts, on October 5th, 2017. And what happens, of course, during a full disk solar eclipse is the sky turns black, and that will reveal at that point, that week, in my opinion, the week of October 5th to 12th, if the book of Revelation is true, because this ties in perfectly with it, that could well be the exact month that we can first see it with the naked eye. So, in my opinion, combined with a predictive computer-generated astronomical model, the Bible, the book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, tells us that the red dragon, or Planet X or Nibiru, appears after September 23rd, 17, but it has to appear before October 11th, 2017. At that date, October 11th, 2017, the sign in Virgo, the woman Virgo, will no longer be, quote, pregnant. Then the red dragon or Planet X therefore must make it an appearance before October 11th. So that seems to be a cutoff date. Jupiter, which is known as the planet or the star of the Messiah, exits Virgo, the Virgin, on October 11th after having spent, I believe, 301 days or about 42 weeks in the, quote, womb region of that constellation. And again, after that point, the woman will no longer be pregnant. So that gives us a very narrow window, just to use the book of Revelation or the Apocalypse as sort of an intel briefing. And the great sign of the woman is described in Revelation 12, 1-2, forms and lasts for a few hours. And according again to astronomical models, this sign has never before occurred in human history. It will occur once on September 23rd, 27. It will never occur again. And I believe it places us right at the time frame from that analysis of the Planet X approach to the Earth.
Revelation 12 says, now a great sign. Everyone say great sign. We might say no sign has been called great in the Bible. This is called great sign. Mega sign. We might say this is the greatest sign because no other celestial sign has been given more attention and more detail. We gloss over it, we read it very quickly. We're not going to do it today. Let me show you why it's very important, because the time may be very soon. Well, the time is definitely very soon for this to be fulfilled. Now, a great sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. This does not refer to a woman floating through the sky. The simplest, most literal interpretation of this is the constellation Virgo, which will have the sun at her head, the moon at her feet, and 12 stars, 9 from the constellation Leo, and a conjunction of Mercury, Mars, and Venus on her head. That makes 12 stars on the 23rd of September, 2017. Remember that date, 23rd of September, 2017. Remember that date. Now, how rare is this? Well, this hasn't happened before in our lifetime. In fact, the last time it happened was 5,932 years ago, and that would be on our Gregorian calendar, the 5th of August, the year 3915 BC, roughly the time when Adam and Eve walked the earth. So this sign, the last time it appeared, seems to match when Adam and Eve were taught about how the woman would go into labor pain when she gives birth, and that the serpent would bruise her seed's heel, but her seed, the coming Messiah, would bruise his head. Remember that? Okay, we'll come back to that. But when that was being told, and he was also being told, God said that the stars and the sun and the moon are given for Moedim, for appointed times. When that was being told, there was a sign in the sky that looked like this, and it hasn't happened since. It's about to happen in less than 360 days. Jacko Prinsloo, he wrote this in a book called God's Roadmap to the End. And again, he has this YouTube channel. I believe it's called The Cutting Edge 2. He calculated this, so I'm just going to say it to you, okay? So here's the sign of the woman in the sky. Many of us prophecy teachers are all in agreement right now that this is the only thing going on in the sky for 6,000 years that would even fulfill, that could fulfill Revelation 12. Jupiter, which is the largest planet in our solar system, is called the king planet. It is the symbol of the king himself. Jupiter enters into the abdomen or the womb of Virgo, celestially speaking, by diagram we're speaking, okay, because there are no lines in the sky. If we drew these lines, Jupiter enters the womb on 20th of November 2016. Maybe that's conception. Exits from Virgo, okay, so that means if you could draw a line in the sky, leaves the womb on the 9th of September 2017. On the 9th of September 2017. Could be the birth, okay, Could be the rapture of the church, for instance, according to Jacko Prinsloo's model, okay? And the fulfillment of Revelation 12 would occur between the 23rd to the 24th of September 2017. Oh, we got another thing. It's just layer upon layer. So Revelation 12, let's read it, okay? I'll read it for you. We've got a few scriptures to show you, because what we want to do now is to harmonize the scriptures. What does all this mean? Now a great sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain. Remember that? In labor and in pain. So what we want to do is to find out any other woman crying in labor and in pain in the Bible. To give birth. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on his head. This is the part we have ignored. We haven't talked about what is the dragon. We've talked about the virgin. We'll talk about the child. We haven't talked much about the dragon. What does he do? His tail drew 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. Hey, where have I heard that before? How about the rest of Revelation? We know there's going to be meteor shower at the end of the 6th seal, and there's going to be meteor impact in the trumpet judgments, and there's going to be more meteor impact in the bowl judgments. Where are all these meteors coming from? Revelation 12 says, when all these signs are happening, something will pass by and draw 1/3 of the stars and throw them down to the earth. Well, these are not stars like the sun and, big stars like that. If you throw the sun into the earth would vanish because the sun is much larger. These stars falling to the earth can only be meteorites. Because we call meteorites falling stars. Can you see Revelation starting to make sense now? So something comes that we haven't talked about, draws all of these debris into the earth's atmosphere and starts pelting the earth. Totally in line with what the 22 predicted events of Revelation are.
Something's been bugging me about our little underwater escapade.
There's a lot about that adventure I wish we could forget.
Amen to that.
But the weirdest part of all was what the late Abigail Gluck whispered.
Like I'll say, a crazy mummified corpse whispering Nibiru is creepy times 10.
It gets creepier. I googled it and found a lot. Namely this. Nibiru is a planet listed in the writings of Zecharia Sitchin, particularly his book The 12th Planet. According to Sitchin's interpretation of Babylonian religious texts, a giant planet called Nibiru passes by Earth every 3,600 years and allows its sentient inhabitants to interact with humanity. These beings, which Sitchin identified with the Anunnaki of Sumerian myth, would become humanity's first gods. My favorite internet encyclopedia says there's supposed to be a collision. The Nibiru collision is a disastrous encounter between the Earth and a large planetary object. Believers in this doomsday event usually refer to this object as Planet X, or Nibiru.
The doomsday event? The doomsday event?
So this is my flight leaving Chicago to Los Angeles, and once we go up and over the clouds, you'll see what this video is about. It's about, I don't know, Planet X. Now I don't know what these are, but I guess I'll call them crop circles. If you guys haven't heard of crop circles, search that up. That's kind of interesting. Even though humans can create them too, but supposedly aliens are involved with these crop circle stuff. And this is like in the middle of basically nowhere.
We hope that you've enjoyed the flight this afternoon on behalf of the flight crew.
Now this is a chemtrail.
And to receive an additional 500 bonus miles for your time on board with them today. More than enough miles for 2 round-trip tickets anywhere that Frontier flies in the continental U.S., including destinations.
At this point of the flight is when everyone started getting their cameras, cell phones, whatever recording device, video recording devices, and you'll see why. Look at the sun. It appears that there's another moon, maybe 2 suns. Do chemtrails look at that? Do chemtrails have anything to do with it? Planet X, is that Planet X? I'm telling you guys, search that stuff up. It's very interesting. Look. Now you don't see that in any history books or anything like that. Now is it bogus? Is there an explanation like, oh, because the windows reflection or anything like that? I don't know. But what I do know is that I know what I saw. I know what I saw.
all through the night. Promise to seek
Yahshua.
in the morning.